Hi, welcome to this Nerd Byte. In this episode, we're going to build a custom visualization, deploy it, and add it to a dashboard. Let's get started. So we're going to use the NR1 CLI to create a visualization. We need to choose the visualization type. We'll give it a default name, and then we'll name our visualization currency example. In this custom visualizations, what we're going to do is we're going to display a value. We're going to look up the current exchange rate for a currency and then apply that to the value we've got. So it's an example of how you might use a custom visualization to source data from outside of New Relic. It's all complete, so now we can serve it and view it. So running NerdPack serve will build the application and it will give us a URL we can go to that will let us play with it straight away. When you do NR1 create, it generates a default application, which is what we'll see first of all. Okay, that looks good. Right. Now, the next step is to reset the app to a much more basic version because we don't want to use the demo application that's there. We want to write our own. Right, so here's the project that's been created. First thing we're going to go is to nr1.json within the visualization folder, and we're going to remove this configuration block. We don't want this right now. We'll add one later. The next thing we're going to do is edit the index.js, and we're going to remove all of this and put a really simple hello world in its place. Really simple. We'll save that and let's see how that looks. And we can see hello world. Brilliant. So for this custom visualization, we need to load some currency data. And to do that, I'm going to use a public API that's available that gives you up-to-date exchange rate data via a very easy to use API. Here you go. Here are all the rates. I'm in the UK, so I'm probably looking for GBP. There it is, 0.74. Okay, so that's great. So we're going to load that data in at some point, but we're not quite ready to do that. First of all, let's get something on the page. Let's get the visualization actually showing something. So firstly, I'm going to import a couple of UI components, the billboard chart and the spinner, and then we're going to render them. And what we're going to do here is we're just going to use a query that's going to return some number. In this case, I'm just getting the count of calls from public API call, and I'm dividing by 1,000. So just imagine that's some number that's in US dollars. It doesn't really matter what that number is for this example. We're going to add a constructor, and here we're just going to set the state for our component with a rate. We're going to set the rate to 1.5 for now, just whilst we do this, and then we're going to import that rate into our render function. So there we go, that's displayed nicely. So for this example, rather than fixing the exchange rate to 1.5, we actually want to load it from another source. But before we do that, let's tidy it up and put a loading message in. Whilst the data's been loaded, we'll show a spinner. And once the data's been received, the spinner will be replaced by the data. And you can see loading currency data. Obviously, we haven't put the loader in yet, so this is going to do nothing. So we want to grab exchange rate data from an external API. I'm going to use the Axios library to do that. So I'll do an npm install, and this shows that you can just use any module within your custom visualization. Once it's installed, we're going to add it to our project using the import statement. So we're going to add a component did mount function. This effectively runs when the component loads. So when the component loads, we're going to load the data from the external API using Axios. So we set the state rate value with the data that's come back from the exchange rate. And now when we load our visualization, we can see that it's using that number that's come in. $30,000 is £23,000. Next up, we want to add some configuration. We want to allow the user to choose which currency they like. So we're going to add sterling and euros. In order to do that, we go to nr1.json and we edit the configuration block. You can put in all manner of things here, but in this case, we're going to put in a drop down using enumerated types. Once you've changed the configuration, you'll need to start serving or restart your server. Here you can see we've got sterling and euros. You can see we can select between the two. This doesn't do anything yet. We need to connect it up. So let's do that. We'll add an extra attribute to our state for currency, and we'll bring this in from the property currency, and if there's none provided, we'll choose pounds. We need to update our componentDidMount mount function. Firstly, we need to grab the currency out of state, and then we need to use that to choose which currency we're using from the exchange rate data. We'll also use the currency from state in the render function. In this case, we're just going to use it to label the rate itself so that we can show which currency has been chosen. So we reload our visualization. We should now see that the currency is being displayed. And we can choose a different currency. So here we'll choose euros. It doesn't change immediately. You have to actually reload. There is a way to connect it up, but right now you have to reload. There you go. Euros is appearing. So that's all connected up. The visualization's ready. So let's publish the visualization, subscribe to it, and make it available. So now we go back to New Edit 1. We go to Apps, and we go to Custom Visualizations. You'll notice here it says Local under Currency Example. So this is not the right one. This is the one we're serving locally. So let's remove NerdPax Local from the URL. And we'll now see the one that's actually been published. There we go. So we choose that. And we can select the currency we like, and then we can add it to a dashboard. Let's create a new dashboard. And we'll add it as a widget here. So there we go. There's our custom visualization. And of course, if we want to change the currency that's being used, we can choose from the drop down, change it to euros, save that, reload our dashboard, and it will now be using the euro currency. So there we are. That's how to create a custom visualization, publish it, deploy it, and use it. I hope you found this useful. There's plenty of documentation if you want to write your own. Best of luck. Thank you very much.